Hey, what's going on, everybody? I know I haven't made a video in a long time. We've been super busy and everything at the lot, and it's been hectic. So today, while everybody in my house is currently sleeping upstairs, I'm going to give you guys kind of a rundown of how financing works and why we don't finance cars through banks. We finance through ourselves at our Buy Here Pay Here, and from the beginning, when we first opened back in 2017, we actually did do expensive cars. We used to sell expensive cars, and the problem with selling expensive cars is that you need not everybody has $15,000 to $20,000 to drop in cash on a car. So a lot of times people need financing, and the problem with that is banks won't give you financing unless you have volume, right? So we would go to other banks and say, hey, would you finance our customers? No, it wouldn't happen, right? But then we started selling more cars and it would happen, right? We got banks to finance. The problem is, and this is the fundamental reason why we stopped doing it, is because it's a ripoff. I mean, I know a lot of people say Buy Here Pay Here's a ripoff, and there are some that are. I mean, when you're paying 28, 29% interest, that is a rip off, big league, big time, big time. And I know I just did like a little Donald Trump big league thing there. I don't know why I did that, but anyways, the reason it's a ripoff here is because I'll show you how it works, and this is how it works with us, and why we told people, and we always tell people, and the best way for you to get the best deal on a car is to bring cash. Now, it doesn't have to be your own cash. You can go to somewhere like here we are in Brevard County. You can go to Space Coast Credit Union, which is a credit union, one of your local credit unions. I think they got Federal Credit Union. You can even go to maybe even your local bank. I think USAA does some good stuff there, or maybe Federal Credit Union, not USAA. I think that's insurance. But anyways, you can go to them and you can get a personal loan or get a loan on a vehicle through them, and that's the best way to do it, because then you can go down to the dealership, and I'll show you in a minute why it works that way. But you can get the best deal because you can buy the car in cash, you can negotiate the whole thing, and you're getting your own financing yourself. Now, not a lot of people do this. They want a one-stop shop to take care of them for them, and that's why they get ripped off. They're lazy. It's just that simple. So if you want to be lazy, you're going to pay more money for being lazy. If you want to go down to a bank yourself, get your own financing, walk into a bank with cash, boom, hey, I've got however much you want to buy on a car for, right? At our lot, most you're gonna pay is $3,000. You come in with cash, you can pay a hell of a lot less than that, because we take care of people that have cash, because it's easier and we don't have to charge what we call a babysitting fee. We don't really charge any fees, we just don't lower the prices. If you need our financing, well, you need our financing, so that's your problem. Then we're not gonna lower our price, because you can't afford the car anyways. That's why you need our financing. But you go to a bank, you get your own financing from the bank. Go down to the credit union, say, hey, I need a loan for $2,000 for a car. Come down to us and say, hey, dude, I got this thing. I got $2,000 cash. What can you get me in? Probably almost everything on the lot, to be honest with you. So, I mean, we love that. It's easier for us. We don't have to worry about anything. And then it's easier for you too, because you're going to a credit union and you're gonna get a loan for $2,000, and they might even give you a loan for, like, I don't even know how long the terms could be. It's all up to the bank, but it could be a year. I mean, so you do the math on it. Even if it's a $2,400 loan they give you, it's only $200 a month. So with it being only $200 a month, you don't have to pay the $300 a month pretty much that we're asking, because we're asking $75 a week. But let me show you how it's a ripoff when you go to a dealership to buy a car, be it new or, well, new cars are a little less bad for this example, because a new car, as soon as you buy the new car, the value of it like instantly depreciates as soon as you drive off the lot, which is really dumb to me. It always didn't make sense to me, because how many times is that car driven off the lot already on a test drive? But when I drive it off after I own it, boom, price just drops, right? It doesn't make sense. All right, so what I'm going to explain to you is why there's 3 prices for a car and what the real price actually is for the car, okay? So if you ever go to Kelley Blue Book and you ever go anywhere to do, looking at your car price, because a lot of people are like, oh, my car, they come into us all the time, well, my car's worth this, it's good. No, it ain't worth that shit. It ain't worth anywhere near what you think it's worth. Kelley Blue Book is set up to benefit dealers and kind of to educate people. But most of the time, it's just to benefit dealers. And I'll show you how it works, right? Let's say we have, make sure you can see that. Yep, all right, cool. All right, guys. So you've got a car, and let's say, for simplicity purposes, you go to the Kelley Blue Book, and let's say you've got a 2005 Toyota Corolla, right? Let's say KBB says that that's worth, they'll tell you three prices. They'll say a trade-in value. They'll tell you the private party value. And then they'll tell you I think the retail or the dealer value, right? Can you guys see this? Let me make sure I get down where y'all can see this thing here. All right, cool. And you'll get your retail value. All right, cool. And I think, of course, this thing's all flipped around, isn't it? I should have used my other damn phone. Samsungs do this thing where they reverse it. It's pretty cool. Here, you guys are kind of getting the reverse image, and I can't write in reverse. So, that said, if you follow along with what I'm saying, you'll probably pick up on what I'm talking about. But Kelley Blue Book for a 2005 Corolla, you have the trade-in value. Now, the trade-in value is going to be the value that the dealership's going to give you on the trade, right? So the dealership has to be able to get your car. They're going to recondition it, so to speak, detail it. There's a lot of things that kind of go into it that they can, you know, they're going to offer you less money because they might need to do work on your car. There's a reason you're trading in your car. Not everybody trades in their car because it's great, right? If it was still great, you know, you probably keep it. But a lot of people trade them in, you know, because they're tired of driving them. Those are great ones because the car usually still drives good. But for the most part, people are trading in cars that are running like shit. There's a reason why. And for us, most people trade in cars that are running like total shit because they're buying a car from us for under $3,000. When you trade your car in to buy a $3,000 or under car, most likely your car is, you know, there's something really wrong with it, right? Which is why we don't give that much for trade-ins. We actually prefer you to go on Craigslist, go on Facebook, go on LetGo, and sell your car yourself and just come in with the down payment instead of us having to deal with your car and trying to get it up to running, figure out what the hell's wrong with it, or in most cases, we just scrap it. So we don't give you very much for trade-ins at all, which is why we prefer you to just go do it yourself. Now, if you don't want to do that and you just want to take the offer we'll give you, I mean, you know, that's your choice. You have that option. But let's say on an 05 Corolla, let's just, I don't know what the real number is, but let me just give it a shot. Let's just say that the trade-in value for it is, let's say $1,500, okay? And let's say the private party value for that is probably, it's a Toyota. Those things are awesome. So let's give it $3,500. Now, for the most part, what's the retail value is going to say is somewhere in the, let's say, $5,000 to $6,000 range, right? And now this is where it gets really confusing, and this is where like everything kind of works together to rip you off, because you have one car here, but it's worth three different prices. Now, how that, if you just think about it, just pause for a second and think about it in your mind. How can one item be worth three different prices? It's not like it's on a sale. It's not a BOGO here. It's not like you went into Walmart or Walgreens or Publix or something like that, and you went up to there and they had, you know, Kellogg's cereal that was, you know, here, and then they did a BOGO offer or 50% off in a tier. That's not how it's working. This is the every single day values. It's not like you go in and it's not the weekly sales, right? So the real value of your vehicle, apart from the adage or whatever the little cliche thing is to say, your car is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? That's the reality of the situation. And most often when you're selling as a person, as a human being that doesn't offer financing, you're not offering any of these other types of ways for people to buy your car, you're only selling it, you know, and people have to have the cash, most often that's going to be here. This is going to be the value, and it's what we believe is the true value of a car. At our lot, 2241 Aurora Road, Melbourne, Florida, 32935. shout out. At our lot, we think this is the real value of a car, the private party value, right? Because that's the realistic value. Because I'll show you why this value, this says $5,000 here, it says $5,000 to $6,000, right? So somewhere in that range, we could say it's $5,500, whatever it may be. The trade-in value, which we can discuss later, is just basically like I've already explained. So it's just the price you pay to not have to list your car online, to not have to refurbish it, to not have to detail it, to all the stuff that goes into making your car, worth really what it was worth already, $3,500. But to make somebody pay $5,000 to $6,000 for a car that's only worth $3,500. Now that to me is crazy, but it happens every single day. People pay this much for a car that's only worth this much, and you wonder why you have negative equity in your vehicles all the time. That's why they constantly come out with longer payment terms. Longer. Now we're up to 96 months almost. I think this all reports at 84 to 96 months. So what's that? 8 years? 9 years? I mean, that's crazy. You're paying for your car for almost a third of the time you pay for a mortgage payment. I mean, that's crazy. That's just crazy, people. So the reason they're doing it is so they can still charge you, $30,000 for a car only worth $20,000, but they get you on lower payments, because all people look at when they go to dealerships, which is a terrible thing to do, is the payment, which is why you'll never have to look at that if you go to the bank beforehand. You get the loan that you need. You go to the bank and say, I need $20,000, and they say, hey, look, this is going to cost you, $500 a month. And you say, well, shit, that's too much. And you figure it out with the bank. Then you go into the dealership and you say, I have 15 grand, give me a car. And it'll happen. It'll happen every time. And I'll show you why. Because if I go up a little higher, shit, I'm trying to do this on my couch, and with this light's kind of killing me here. So what happens here next is the reason why we got out of selling and using other financing companies to finance our vehicles is right here. You're going to pay $5,000 to $6,000 for financing, right? To finance the vehicle. The reason being is because the bank that's going to finance you. So dealerships all have these banks set up, right? They have these financial companies or whatever like that, like Ally Financial, Westlake, things like that. They're going to go in here and they're going to offer you financing. Like, oh, we've got all these 8 banks. We've got guaranteed financing, because they use 12 guys. They'll run all your shit and they'll figure it out, right? But the reason they're running it is because they're going in here and they're not running it necessarily for you to get the best deal for you. They're getting the best deal for themselves. The reason being is because some banks, most banks, will give you what's called a black book value, right? Or they do a NADA value. There's NADA has some sort of I'm forgetting the term because we haven't done this in a year and a half. But they use this term as what the bank's willing to give the dealership for that car, right, to finance this person. So the bank will come in there. This is the rip-off shit, right? So here's where the bank comes in. The bank goes in and says, okay, we'll finance John Smith here for $5,500 on this Corolla, and you guys up here at the dealership, we're gonna give you, let's say we'll give you $3,000 for the car. Dealership. Now the dealership, in most likely scenario, probably bought the car for $3,000. At the auctions, we don't really get the cars for what everybody thinks we get. People think we get them up here. If that was the case, we'd be banking like a mo. You wouldn't even believe. Most often, you get them pretty close to this value here, and sometimes it just depends on the auction of the car and what's really wrong with it. You might be able to get it a lot lower than that. If somebody thinks if they think it has a major issue, you might get lucky. But those are unicorns, and they don't happen all the time, right? Most often, you're getting it just below this value, which is why it wouldn't be profitable for many dealerships to sell it right at this value. Now, we sell it at this value because we do more volume, so we're kind of like a low profit, low volume kind of place, right? So we jump in here at this value. But the reason why most dealerships do this is because the bank is going to offer, so this is the bank offer to the dealership. They're going to offer them $3,000. This is the bank offer here. The $3,000 is the bank offer, but the financing they're going to give to your customers $5,500. Now, there's other incentives in there that they, would throw on us as, oh, if you get them to go up into a higher interest rate, right? So if I go in here, it pisses me off because of how much of a ripoff it is. But if they would go in here and they would say to us, oh, okay, by the way, you finance them at, we'll give them 20% interest or some shit, right? 20% interest at $5,500, right? We're gonna give you $3,000, okay, for the car. Now, let's say I bought it for $3,000. You're gonna give me my $3,000. Boom, I break even on the vehicle, and that's why I have to have the price so high, because they'll give you like a percentage of the value of the vehicle. So let's say they'll give you 75% of the value. So that's why I have to sell it for 25% or whatever the math really is above my cost of the vehicle, cost into the vehicle. Because if I sell it above that value, then I get my money back, the $3,000. So I have to literally overprice my car. You buy my overpriced car so that I get my money as a dealership back when you're doing this kind of bank financing, okay? So you have to do this. I have to sell you the car at $5,500. A car really only worth $3,500. I have to sell it to you for $5,500 so that I get my $3,000 back that I paid for it. And in addition to that, what they do is they let the dealerships keep the down payment. So that was always the thing. Okay, look, you get to keep. Here's the bonus structure you get. You get to keep the. Let's say you put. Oh, we'll give you $500, 500 down specials on these cars through our financing at whatever bank we're using or whatever like that. So $500 down, they would let you keep the $500. All right, so they let us keep the $500 as a dealership. Then they said, oh, if you get them to go up interest rate wise. So it might offer you, let's say, 22% interest. They might send the dealership a 22% interest rate on this $5,500 loan. The incentive being is they're going to say, hey, if you get them to go up to 25% interest, though, we'll flip you another, let's say, $300, right? So the dealership has no incentive to give you a better deal. Their deal is to give you, get themselves more money. Because now this whole deal, this car they paid this money for, they're going to make, let's say, $800 in profit off of. All right, that's kind of how it works, and that works all over the place. Any used car dealership that does not do buy here, pay here works in this manner. Now, other places that do buy here, pay here, they'll rip you off as well. They'll charge you 28% interest and all that kind of bogus stuff. And a lot of the times they sell those loans out to other people. Like, we get offers all the time. People are constantly coming into our dealership saying, oh, we'll buy all your receivables, which are our customers' accounts, for, they offer us anywhere from 60 to 70% of the value of the loan. Some go lower than that. It's not even worth talking to. But they'll come in there and offer us 60% of the value, and to us, it's not worth it, because we want to deal with our customers. We want to take care of everything, and we don't want, what's the point of being in business if we're just going to let you guys come in? And this is the reason we got out of that business structure, is not to get right back into it. And a lot of the times people talk crap about, buy here, pay here's, and where we are about, oh, well, we repossess your car. Well, believe it or not, so do the banks. If you can't pay for this shit, they're going to take your car. The same way if you can't pay for your fucking house, they're going to take your fucking house. The same way if you can't pay for your fucking credit card, they're going to fucking cut your credit card off. Same with your fucking phone. Same with every goddamn thing else out there. So if you can't pay for your shit, yes, people will fucking take it, because it's not your fucking shit. You didn't pay for it. You pay for your shit, you get to keep your shit. You can't pay for it, we take it. It's that simple. It's a real simple formula, and you don't need a whiteboard to draw that shit up. All right, so everybody that talks shit about, oh, all you do is repo. No, we don't repo very much at all, actually. I think we have right now, we've sold, in the last 3-4 months, we've sold over 100 and something cars, 120, 130 cars, something like that. I think we've got maybe 5 repos, maybe we have 2 out for repo. I think we only actually repoed 3 cars of the 100 and something we've sold. So we have a very, very low repo rate. We actually prefer not to repo because it's a lot more paperwork and pain in the ass to repo somebody. But we'll do it if you're not going to pay for your car, because I'd rather give your car to somebody that's going to pay for it, that appreciates it, than somebody that's just going to sit there and drive it around like they're getting free rent, right? That's for another day, though. But at the end of the day, you pay for it, you get to keep it. You don't pay for it, we'll take it away. It's that simple. But back to this awesome scenario here, right? So this is why you're going to pay $5,000 to $6,000 for a car that's only worth $3,500, and it's why as soon as you get a loan, a lot of people talk about, oh, I can't resell my car because I owe more than it's worth. That's called negative equity, and that's how it works. And that's why they lock you in, to make sure you have to pay for that, or they're going to get all their money anyways, right? So in this scenario too, not only are you going to get ripped off by paying more than the vehicle's worth at the private party value. In addition, you're paying the interest that they charge you, which it ranges from a ridiculous amount. We had a guy come in to buy a car from us. We were selling it to him for $4,000. I think, God, it was 45. It was like a 350Z, Nissan 350Z. And I think we were selling it for him for, no, I think we were selling for 6,000. I think we were selling for $6,000, right? I can't remember exactly the amount, memory foggy, but it was September of last year, 2018. So he came in, $6,000. We ran him. He had like an 820 credit score, like fucking magical number, ridiculously high. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I don't want to run your stuff, man, because our places here are gonna rip you off. Seriously, gonna rip you off. So he's like, well, just run it and see what happens. I'm like, all right, dude. Whatever you say. We run it back. They offer him 22% interest. He has an 800 and something credit score. They offer him 22% interest on a $6,000. This guy pays his bills. 820 credit score, that says you pay your fucking bills. And people with that high of a credit score don't not pay because there's a reason why you got that high of a credit score, right? So I'm like, dude, this is a crap deal for you. And this is the finance company we're using because, I mean, it's one of the few that we actually were allowed to use because they make you have volume before they offer you even other ones. And maybe other ones give you better deals. Maybe they'll give you 15%. Maybe that's why people have 9 to 10 so they can pick 15 to 20%. Maybe they pick you 15% and they can charge you 20% because they get the little bonus there, but it makes it look like everybody's doing you a good job. But at the end of the day, they offered him 22%. And he went down to Space Coast Credit Union, I believe it was here, and they gave him a loan on the car, the $6,000, boom, gave it no question. The guy was back in like maybe less than an hour. It was so freaking fast. Less than an hour. They gave him, I think it was 3.99% is what they gave him for the $6,000. Boom. I mean, how ridiculous that spread is from what kind of crap you're dealing with here. And the guy was able to come in, $6,000. Actually, we gave it to him for even less than that because he was coming back now with cash. So we worked out a deal. He was calling us on the phone. I think we might have gave him like, I think it was like what, maybe $5,000 out the door, $5,500 out the door. I don't remember the exact scenario, but I remember the interest rate because it was freaking ridiculous, the difference between that. And that's why we always recommend you guys go get cash yourself, go to a bank yourself. It takes a little bit more work. I know, I'm asking a lot here, guys. You'd be surprised if people don't even fucking test drive cars before they buy them. Used cars from our lot that are used, I mean, they are freaking used, all right? People don't test drive the cars. They trust what people say, which is the biggest mistake you can make, is trusting what other people say, right? Don't trust, I mean, you trust the dealership. Everybody, this is why right here, people hate dealerships and people think dealerships are ripoffs. This is because for the most part they are. That's really the case. You go get the cash yourself, you do your work, you don't get ripped off. You do go down to a credit union or something like that and get the cash, or you use your own cash. I recommend going to like something, this is not financial advice, I don't know if the legalities of doing that, of what I'm saying, but if you go down and get a loan yourself, then you're not putting your own money out there, right? Get a loan from a credit union. You'll end up paying money for it, but you don't have to have a big expense out of your pocket immediately. So you go down to a credit union, you take care of that. Then you go down and take a look at the car, take it on a test drive, take it onto your local highway. Around here is an I-95. So take it there, get it up to speed, go through all 5 gears, sometimes 6, who knows. But get it up to 70, 80 miles an hour for a good time. Make sure you've checked all the fluids. If you're not familiar with any of that stuff, even if you are familiar with it, right, unless you're like a licensed mechanic, take your car to a mechanic for an inspection. I cannot emphasize that enough. You guys got to do that in order to not get ripped off, in order to get the best deal, because these are used cars. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows when a car is going to break, right? A mechanic has the best, I guess, the ability to at least give you an idea if something's gonna break, or if things have been worn, or if they would recommend buying or not buying the car, right? And since you're taking your a car there for an inspection and it's not really your car, the mechanic has no incentive other than to tell you the truth, right? Most people think mechanics are liars. Most people think that lawyers are liars. Most people think car dealers are liars and everything like that. But in a scenario where he's just inspecting the car and he's not coming in there and knowing that you're actually going to bring him knowing that you're going in there to bring him the car, saying, hey, my car's acting up, and then everybody thinks that as soon as they take it in that shop, they're doing all sorts of shady stuff, and ruining your car, making parts not work. And that's why I hate taking my shit to Tire Kingdom. To be honest with you, I don't like going to oil changes to Tire Kingdom, because what happens? I drop my fucking car off there. An hour later, maybe 3, who the fuck knows? I don't know what the hell they're doing, but an hour to 3 hours later, they're saying, hey, we took your tires off and we're looking at your rotors and you need, new rotors and shit. I'm like, dude, I told you to change the fucking oil and call me back. There's 10-minute oil changes for a reason. I know this shit takes, 10 fucking minutes, because I sat in my car while I done the 10-minute oil change. So don't take my shit off. Don't take all my tires off. I didn't tell you to do that shit. I didn't tell you to do any of that. I said just change the oil, right? And that's when they try to upsell you on stuff there. But in an inspection for a car, they're not doing that stuff. So don't be afraid to go to them for that kind of stuff. It should be a pretty relatively easy thing that they do, and it should be pretty inexpensive, right? Maybe $50 or less. But Midas, I believe Midas, I've been told, I've never actually gone there myself personally, Midas does free inspections, right? So if that's always a scenario you can use if you don't have the money to pay for one, but we always recommend getting your car inspected by a professional mechanic. It's the best thing you can do. Coming in with cash from you going to get your own personal loan, also one of the best things you can do. And that's kind of the best scenario for you to make the best educated decision for yourself, right? This is for used cars. New cars, totally different ball game. There's so much other crap that goes into new cars that I'm not gonna be able to cover in this video, which is already 26 minutes, which I thought was only gonna be maybe 8 to 10, but I'm a rambler and I like to give more information than less, so it's kind of how it works out sometimes, guys. But at the end of the day, this is why when you finance through places, unless you're getting no fees, no interest, no anything like that, which is something we offer at our dealership, Any Budget Cars, you do tend to get ripped off either way you look at it. So there's a big rip-off going on in the car dealership industry. It's been like this for years and years and decades, probably, to be honest with you, where this is the scenario. And this is just, it's been like this for so long, people just accept this as okay, right? The real value of your car, private party value. That's the real value of your car. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. Also, whatever somebody's willing to pay you, also the real value of a car, which is most likely around that range, right? This is just so they can charge you more money so that the dealership can get their money back and make profit, right? Because at the end of the day, they're just going to the bank to get the money for the car. The bank's giving them part of the money, and this is the bank's risk, is that extra $2,500 or so. It varies in every scenario, but it's the extra $2,500 here, plus the bank is getting all the interest on that $5,500 from you, the consumer, right? And they will repo your car if you do not pay for it. The thing is, a lot of the times other dealerships that use financing like this will say, oh, well, we don't repo people. We don't do that, guys. That's buy here, pay here's repo. The reason why you don't repo is because the fucking bank has to repo on your behalf. All right? Yeah, you might not repo, whatever the fuck your car dealership name is, Cars, whatever. You might not repo them personally because the bank has the loan now, but the bank will repo that car. It ain't just this. You just trying to skate it out because, oh no, you gave them the loan. That's why they'll repo that stuff, right? So that's what we always recommend, guys. So if you came into this dealership here, now that's why you'd get a better deal. You go to Space Coast Credit Union, for example. I'm not recommending them. I've actually never been there, but they are a local credit union I know a lot of people use around here. So if you go down to Space Coast Credit Union and you come in there with $3,500 cash, from the bank, or even $4,000, right? Because you got tax and tag or whatever like that in there. You go down there, you come in, $4,000, boom. You tell that dealership, hey, I got $4,000. I want to be out the door in that car. That car they have on their lot for maybe $6,000, $5,500, because they'll do $6,000 or $6,500 to see if you'll get even more ripped off. Because if they do $6,500, they might get maybe $3,700 for the car from the bank, and then they're even in the money even more. But this way they can also, if they do $6,500, lower the car to $5,500, make you feel like you got $1,000 off. Oh, dude, I ripped them guys off. $5,500. The KBB on this thing is $5,700, dude. Yeah. No, it's all a ripoff. It's all a shell game. They're trying to screw you over, and that's how it works, right? But they make it seem as though it's only buy here, pay here's that rip people off. And if you came in with $4,000 from a loan from any credit union out there, you come in there, you do out the door, boom, guarantee you get that car for $3,500, or really just a little bit over what the dealership paid, because now the dealership knows you're buying it in cash. They don't have any worry about any of the banking stuff. They don't have to deal with any of this shit. They're still getting the same freaking money pretty much that they got down in this scenario. Maybe they don't get that little extra interest percent bonus, but they're burning and turning that car. Boom, gone. Car's gone. They got their money. They got it immediately and upfront from you, and it's the done deal. And they're going to take that deal every time, right? I mean, unless they're stupid, which some of them are. We've met a lot of them, right? But this is a great deal for them because it's the same deal they're getting from the bank when they sell the car for $5,500. So don't think you're ripping them off by coming in here and offering them private party value plus tax and tag. They're still making money at that price. So you can imagine the markup they're making at this price down here, this $5,500. You go in there and you offer a private party for a car plus tax and tag, or anywhere near that scenario, you know, an out the door thing, you're gonna get a better deal. You're gonna tell your buddies, I got this car for freaking $3,500. They had it on their lot for $6,500. That's the fun stuff. That's when you're making money. And then guess what? You have that freaking car. You've got a loan on it, let's say from the credit union, or even if you came in with cash, you don't have a loan on it. Either way, you've got this car for $3,500. You drive it for a year. You go to sell it. The car is not going to be worth much less than that in term, especially if it's a Toyota. That shit, it might still be worth $3,500. But in this scenario, your value of your car, maybe it went down to $3,000, right? But you've driven it for a year, so you lost $500 if you decide to go sell the car. Now you go to trade it in, it's probably only worth $1,200 up in this scenario instead of $1,500 like it is here. I know it's reversed on the screen. I apologize about that. But in this scenario, that's how it's going to work. So you're not going to get negative equity so much on your vehicle because you got it for a fair private party price. You can sell it to anybody off Craigslist, you can sell it anywhere else and get the same value that you owe on your loan currently. Where in this scenario, you pay for a year, your car is still worth that $3,000 next year, but you still owe shit. In that scenario, I mean, depending on how long your terms of your loan were, you could still owe $5,000 on a car only worth $3,000. And that's how it continues to go. And then, I mean, eventually what they'll do is they'll tell you, oh, well, you can trade it in after 2 to 3 years of you being pissed off and the car maybe starting to break or whatever scenario happens. Oh, well, you can trade it in. We'll take the negative equity on your car. We'll roll it into a new one, and you're good to go. And the negative equity portion of it is that you're going to basically take that money you still owed on the car on your loan, and we're going to tack it on to the next car, right? Because they want to get all of that money, right? And the reality is they sold you a car for way too much anyways. You've already paid all the money that the car was really worth, and they're just making even more and more money off the cars. And that's how it really works. Yeah, that's a real brief kind of overview of how the dealerships work and how financing, how buy here, pay here's, and all that work. Now at our place, off Aurora Road in Melbourne, Florida, 2241, any budget cars. What we do is we do private party value. We give you a lower down payment, and we also do no interest, no fees, no nothing. So the price you're buying is like you're buying it in cash. The only difference is you're only having to put a couple $100 down. Now, a credit union, you might not have to put down anything. So it's still a better deal for you, possibly, depending on your financial situation, to go down to a credit union, get a loan from them, and maybe they're going to charge you 5 to 7%. But that might be a better deal for you financially to not have to put any money down on on a car and come in and just buy it outright and have a longer term loan, because our payments are $75 a week, which is roughly $300 a month, $325 on 5-week months, just kind of depends. But it is a rough estimate of how much it costs at our dealership. And maybe at a credit union, they expand your payments out, because most all of our cars are paid off in less than 6 months, so that you're done, you own your car in less than 6 months, and it's yours, right? And so in this scenario where people say, you know, your payments are too high, well, it's because you're using our financing. Go get your own financing then. If you don't like our terms, get your own financing. You're an adult, you're over 18, make a decision for yourself in your life. Stop blaming other people. Go down, make a decision. Either use our financing, pay the $75 a week, or go get it from a loan from a credit union. Come in with a check and say, hey, I want a car. This is what I got. Give me a loan. And maybe credit unions give me $150 a month. Maybe they're giving you $200 a month. Just depends on your financial situation and how long the term of the loan is going to be. But do that. Do it. You are in control, and as soon as you realize you're in control, you don't get ripped off anymore, right? And that's how you stay in control. That's how you don't get ripped off. That's how you get the best deal on a car, okay? So go do that. go down to credit union, get a loan, or bring in cash, and always take your car and get it inspected, get everything looked at, and make a great decision and get yourself a car at private party value, because that's what you should be doing. That's what you should be paying, because that's the true value of your car. And in that, I'm gonna wrap it up.